A man sits alone on a bench outside a hospital. It is past midnight. The parking lot is almost empty. 12 hours ago, he had a job, a plan, and a life that made sense. Then his phone rang. His doctor used words he had never heard before. His wife went quiet on the other end of the call, the kind of quiet that is worse than crying. By evening, he was sitting in this parking lot with test results in his hand and no idea what to do next. There was a coffee cup beside him on the bench, still full, gone cold. He bought it 2 hours ago. He has not taken a single sip. He does not know it yet, but this is the best day of his life. 3,000 years ago, on a mountain where the wind never stopped, an old farmer heard the same truth that this man needs to hear tonight. The farmer's name was Elias, and his answer to everything, the good, the bad, and the unbearable, was one quiet word.
Elias lived at the edge of a village, where the last houses gave way to open hills. His farm was small, his tools were old. He owned one horse, a gray mare with a dark stripe down her back, and she was the center of his world. She pulled his plow, she carried his grain to market. Without her, the land would go still. One morning, Elias walked to the stable and found the door swinging open. The rope that held the mare was bitten through. Her hoofprints led up the hill and disappeared into the wild grass. She was gone. By noon, the neighbors had gathered at his fence. They stood in a half circle, arms crossed, shaking their heads. "What terrible luck," said the woman who sold cloth in the market. "That horse was everything you had." "A disaster," said the old man who kept bees. "You will not recover from this." Elias looked at the empty stable. He looked at the open hill. The wind moved through the grass where the hoofprints ended. He felt the stillness in his own chest. Not peace exactly, but the absence of the panic his neighbors expected. "Maybe," he said. They stared at him. Some of them laughed, the short, uncomfortable laugh people give when they think someone has lost his mind. But Elias did not explain. He picked up his hoe and walked to the field. The ground still needed turning, with or without the horse. His shoulders ached before the sun was overhead. He felt every row in his back and his knees. He did not pretend it was easy, but he did not call it ruin. 3 days later, the village woke to a sound like low thunder. Elias stood in his doorway, squinting into the morning light. His gray mare came trotting down the hill, and behind her, 3 wild horses followed. They were young, strong, and unbroken, their manes tangled with burrs and mountain dust. The neighbors returned before breakfast. "Elias, what a blessing!" they cried. "You are the luckiest man alive. 4 horses! You will be rich!" Elias watched the horses circle the paddock. The wild ones threw their heads, uneasy with the fence. The gray mare stood apart from them, calm, breathing hard from the journey. He noticed a fresh scratch across her left shoulder. She had not had an easy time either. "Maybe," he said. The neighbors shook their heads again. This time, some of them were angry. They wanted him to be happy. They wanted the story to make sense. Bad luck, then good luck, then celebration. Elias would not give them that. A week passed. Elias's son, a young man with his father's quiet nature, but not yet his patience, climbed onto the back of the strongest wild horse. The animal twisted. The boy gripped the mane. For 3 seconds he held on, and then the horse threw him sideways into the stone wall of the paddock. The crack was the kind of sound that stops everything. His leg was broken. Not a clean break, The bone had shifted, and the village healer said he would not walk without a stick for many months. The neighbors came again. Their faces were heavy. "How terrible," they said. "Your son was your only help on the farm. Now he cannot walk. This is the worst fortune of all." Elias sat beside his son's bed. The young man's face was tight with pain. Elias placed a damp cloth across his forehead and felt the heat rising from his skin. He did not look away from his son's eyes when he spoke. Maybe. 1 month later, war came. The king's soldiers rode into the village at dawn. They carried a list of every young man's name. They went house to house. Mothers stood in doorways, blocking the entrance, but the soldiers moved them aside. Fathers watched their sons march away in a line, carrying nothing. The sound of the village that morning was the sound of doors closing and women weeping. When the soldiers reached Elias's house, they found his son lying on a mat, his leg wrapped in wooden splints. The officer looked at the boy, looked at the leg, and shook his head. "This one is no use to us." They left. The door stayed open. Elias closed it gently, then sat down beside his son again. The neighbors came one last time. Their eyes were wet. "You were right," they whispered. "The broken leg saved him. How did you know? How did you stay so calm through all of it?" Elias looked toward the window. Beyond it, the hills rose the same way they always had. The gray mare stood in the field, pulling at the grass. He did not say maybe this time. He said nothing at all.
Elias understood something that most of us resist. He understood that he was standing inside an unfinished story, and that judging an unfinished story is the source of most suffering. The Buddhist monks have a phrase for this: beginner's mind, looking at every moment, even a painful one, as if you are seeing it for the first time, without deciding what it means before it is finished happening. Elias felt the ache in his back when the horse was gone. He felt the heat of his son's fever under his hand. He was not pretending that pain did not exist. He was refusing to let one chapter of the story become the whole book. He could not control the horse, the broken bone, or the soldiers at the door. But his response, that quiet maybe, was always his own. And the man outside the hospital? He sat on that bench until the sun came up. The next morning, he walked back inside. Months later, he would tell his wife that the illness led him to a doctor who found something else, something silent, something that would have killed him if the first diagnosis had never come. The bad news saved his life. He just did not know it on that bench. As you go on with your day, ask yourself one question. Is there something happening in your life right now, something you have already called bad, that might still be an unfinished story? You do not need to find the answer right now. You only need to hold the question. Let it sit with you the way Elias sat beside his son, quietly, without forcing anything to be what it is not yet ready to be. Thank you for listening. May you walk in peace. Keep seeking, keep growing, and keep shining. Subscribe to join us for the next one.